That's, okay. We are live. Hey guys, this is Fee from Feisworld Media. I haven't gone live in a little while now, but I am super, super thrilled to be here with my new friend, Randy Lau, who runs Made With Lau on YouTube. It's getting to be a pretty big YouTube channel now, over 10,000 subscribers, 14,000 in I think you guys had like more than 10,000 fans, subscribers in less than 3 months, and the channel just gonna keep growing. They're also on Instagram, getting a lot of traction there. Made by Lau everywhere. Made with
Made
Lau,
with
sorry.
Lau. Made with Lau.
Made with Lau. And so, Randy, welcome to Facebook. I'm so glad you're here.
Thanks for having me. I'm super excited.
Yeah, me too. And so tell us about Made with Lau. Oh, what is this channel about? I'm gonna pretend that I'm so new to it, but I'm not. I've been watching all the recipes. So tell us about the channel, kind of your original creative idea and what triggered all of this to happen.
Yeah, so in a nutshell, it is a Chinese family recipe blog and YouTube channel. And we basically document my dad's Chinese cooking. He's been a chef for 50 years. And then after the format of each video, we show a recipe and then we have a conversation as a family. Um,
Mhm.
so yeah, it's kind of a mix of like a cooking show, like mukbang, and then there's a lot of I like to include a lot of like historical, cultural, personal elements. So there's just like a lot of layers on top of just the recipe. Yeah, that's essentially it. And it's just trying to document our heritage, my celebrate my parents and their legacy, and just have something to pass on to my son one day and our future kids, and just share with the world. I think it's a lot to be celebrated.
Yeah, and I think I feel like you're such a humble person already because these videos, let me clarify. Uh, First of all, I'm not about getting fancy camera and you have to be, 1,000% sure and all of that. But your videos are very, very high quality. That's the first thing I notice, that it's so professionally done. So I immediately realize that I'm talking to and dealing with a filmmaker and a marketer, someone who really knows how to market a new piece of content and to give my audience a quick idea, because I don't want you guys to, like, I'm sure most of you guys have already left to stop watching this interview and just went right to the channel. There's a lot of very, very yummy recipes. They're so well done. I mean, there are recipes online on their website, also made with Lau, .com. And you can actually look at all the measurements and all these, beautiful pictures, step by step. The user experience is just incredible. So you got to tell me, like, where did you gain these skills from? Are you a filmmaker? Tell us a bit more about your background.
Yeah, I think my career's had a lot of twists and turns. So I think like just lightning. I was studied engineering at UCLA, electrical engineering, and then which has nothing to do with what I do now. But and then along the way, I learned how to program. I
Hmm.
did like a lot of iPhone apps and startups of my own. Like the past 6 years, I've been self-employed.
Hmm.
So like in that span, I've done a lot of like two or three tech startups, and then my wife and I started a digital marketing consulting business. We didn't market it too much, but we helped small businesses establish an online presence.
Hmm.
Um, and then kind of like we were like full service. So we did like video, social media, websites, like email sales, just like every SEO, like a lot of everything you need to like establish a presence online.
Hmm.
So I learned a lot of skills doing that. And then I started dabbling in video like as a very serious hobby probably 4 years ago. So like I did a handful of commercial stuff.
Only
Um,
4 years ago.
yeah. But then,
Wow.
yeah, after I kind of like burned out from one startup, and then I was like, I just want to explore video. I actually started like playing with the camera like more seriously like 10 years ago, like with just
Mhm.
photography. And I interned for like a wedding photographer, which basically meant like I just watch his stuff while he goes and shoots the wedding. But I learned a lot watching him, and he taught me a lot. So I think I got a lot of basics from him. His name is Eric Chen, Erich Chen. He's super talented, and uh he's still a wedding photographer. But yeah, I learned a lot from him about just cameras, and then 4 years ago, I was like, I'm gonna film a video every single day. So
Mhm.
just not for like clout or to build a huge following, but just on my personal Instagram, I edited and shared a video like every for 3.5 years. So every single day, I didn't miss one. So I
Mhm.
think I gained a lot of skills doing that. Just all these pieces kind of fit together to like contribute to everything we're doing on YouTube now with our blog.
Mm.
So
But I think it's fascinating that when I talk to creators, I hear this type of stories a lot. But yours obviously is very unique to your experience. But I often hear people who are successful on YouTube. Often, either their first channel wasn't very successful, or they felt it was such a mess, they had no idea what they were doing, or they tell you, "Oh, look at this channel that's growing really rapidly right now, but had all these failed projects. I had no idea what I was doing prior to that, where I kind of dipped my toe into many, many different
yeah.
things, which my kind of my origin story as well. Most people around us are like Randy, Faye, what are you guys doing? What is that you want to do? You seem to be interested in too many things. Like, did you at one point question yourself to say, all right, let me put on my blinders now. Let me get really, really, really good at one thing and not be distracted by other things. Like, what was that journey for you like?
Ooh, that's a good question. Um, yeah, I
I
mean,
know I'm
I think
pushing today.
yeah, I tried to, I think like every year or two, I had like brackets of my life where I really tried to be focused on one thing. And for a lot of that, that was like a tech startup. Like I think it's not off the cards, but I wanted to like build something at the level of like Airbnb, like something
Mm,
that's so impactful that like millions of people use that
hmm
impacts culture in a positive way. And I think like for a while, like my passion for video was kind of like budding, but I just kind of like ignored it or suppressed it as a way that I could have an impact on culture in a positive way that touches millions of people. So um, it was only very recently that I kind of leaned into like YouTube as a thing that I could be really good at, you know. So yeah, I don't know if that answers your question, but I think that's like, yeah.
Yeah, recently. I mean, I try to guess. You graduated around 2010, if I'm correct.
Yes.
Okay,
Good
so
math.
to give people,
Yeah.
yeah, I did look you up on LinkedIn. So to kind of give
Yeah.
people an idea of our age and where you are on your journey right now. It's interesting. We started talking about YouTube, guys, but I definitely want to get into culture, origin stories, and entrepreneurship and all that. But I did, by the way, tell the Subtle Asian YouTuber network
Yeah, I
about
saw
this
that.
conversation. I know I'm so excited. A lot of people are like, "I'm having lunch right now. I'm so lunch. I guess lunch in California." That not so much where I am right now. But people are excited because isn't that an exciting space? I mean, whether it's the Asian subtle YouTubers or like new YouTuber networks, I watch the videos people create. I get so excited. I watch my baby, I have a cousin who's, I think of her a little baby. She's 25 now. She just started her own YouTube channel. Makes me so thrilled to see her progress through all that. But I know deep
Yeah.
down, doesn't matter, right, how cool our videos look. There's so much, guys, there's so much sweat, tears, and
Yeah.
pain, self-doubts that go into every single video because not a single video we've ever produced is what we consider as perfect, or
Yeah.
sometimes just good enough. Sometimes it's like not good enough to us. So I guess for you, Randy, how do you feel about your videos? You've been doing YouTube videos now for, a number, I think since, I don't know how to, like 4, 5 months at this point. And
Yeah.
how do you feel about your first few videos versus the new videos right now?
Oh
I think
man.
all of them are
It's
great.
like um I actually like we started planning in May, and
Mm-hmm.
then we launched in September. But like leading up to May, I think we filmed like five, maybe like 5 to 10 videos, like from May to September. And we
Wow.
didn't publish the first three. I think we scrapped like like first 3 times we filmed because I just wasn't happy with it. Um,
Mm-hmm.
and then the first, so like it just took a while to like figure out the format and kind of the flow of things. And um, so you can see a remnant of that in Mapo Tofu. The format is a little different from the videos now. That Mapo
Mm-hmm.
Tofu is the very first episode we published, and I think I'm still like happy with it, but like definitely,
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure looking back, even now, like I'll cringe at some things, or like I pick at like the lighting or like the sound, or like I messed up that camera angle, or like um yeah, I think for sure, I think it's definitely like a battle of like being a perfectionist, but also like just sticking to a deadline, because I think I could spend forever perfecting it. But I like committed, like in May, I committed to, when we launched in September, I'm not going to miss a single
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday of publishing. I think that's so important. I think
Mm-hmm.
like the number one determinant, I feel like, for a blog or YouTube channel, or for a lot of businesses actually, but like especially for content driven businesses, it's like you just have to show up
Mm-hmm.
regularly. Like I think, not, I can't say this for all of our subscribers, but like I think there's a section of our subscribers that like look forward to Tuesday, like 10 to 12 p.m., where we're
Mm-hmm.
just going to publish something. And
Yeah.
I'm proud of not missing that slot. And I
Yeah.
think it's really
Yeah.
important.
I think so. I think we underestimate not just the power, but also the level of interest our subscribers have. Because I know that you
Yeah.
feel you are a new channel. Mine started actually so funny, September 2019, almost exactly a year
Oh,
before
whoa.
yours. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the crazy thing is that I consider myself very lucky because of pandemic and luck shouldn't be even put in the same sentence, but we've all seen tremendous growth of online digital content in general and how people are now consuming content behavior wise very differently than they were before. And so for me, I definitely saw a trend of someone like myself explaining technology in a very non intimidating way, helping people build their businesses online. And my channel started to gain traction right around March 2010. And within a month of that time, we went from 300 subscribers to 1,000 subscribers. And we had the watch hours way before we had the subscriber count.
Yeah.
So that was
That's
really, really.
fast.
Yeah. So when you started the channel, did you, in September, you're like, I finally hit publish. Now, are you thinking my channel must grow rapidly. I must hit 1,000, 10,000. What was the sort of the goal or the vision you have for your channel? Or did that really matter at all? Did you have something like, I'm going to continue no matter what?
I think it's funny because like every year, like my wife and I do like a annual retreat where we just map out goals for our lives. And
Mm,
we started doing quarterly ones too, but basically every quarter or every year we set like these big audacious goals. And like actually for YouTube, I didn't have one when we launched. I was like, because
mhm,
I talked to a handful of YouTubers. I like read articles on like how long it takes to monetize, and
mm.
it takes a long time. It's like
Yeah,
it can take like many months, years even, for channels to do that. So I just had like
exactly.
no expectation. Um,
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, our channel has grown. I think it's just great because like it's blown past all my expectations for what I thought it would be by now.
Mm.
And every day I just appreciate like the new subscribers that we get. Um,
How
yeah,
many
but
guys, how many are you getting every day? You guys are getting a lot. I mean, you already surpassed me like many weeks ago. I'm still proud of like 11,800 people, and yours is like 14,000 as of a month
yeah.
ago. So
So I mean, we like got like we got pretty fortunate. So right now we get probably like 100 a day, I
okay,
think.
that's about yeah. Those were my high days. I remember that.
Um, so like Tuesday is like our peak where we get like maybe 170 right now, and then like on by like Monday we get like 70 or something, which is still great. I'm like very grateful for that. Um,
Mhm.
when we started, I think like I actually wrote down in my sheet of goals like I'm going to spend as much time or energy at least promoting this as I do creating it because like that's just as important. So I try not to like be spammy about it, but like I post my recipe in a lot of places. So like probably like 30 to 40 relevant Facebook groups, like 4 subreddits. Um, and so I think because of that, and because of like the layers that we have that elevate it beyond just a recipe blog or channel, like I think people resonate with like people in all those groups, be it like Asian Americans or Cantonese parents or people from Toisan or um, people who are just interested in Asian cooking. There's a lot
Mhm.
of like really active groups out there that want the type of content that we're making. And then, yeah, so we actually, I think in September, I was just ecstatic because we passed 1,000 subscribers in that like within like 3 or 4 weeks. And then,
Wow.
so that was like, yes, we're able to, we're like half eligible for monetization. And
How
then,
long? Yeah. What about watch hours? How long
so
did it
by
take?
then we were like way behind. I think we had like, I think we only had like 1,000 watch hours at that point.
Oh yeah,
So
those are hard to accumulate. So.
yeah, yeah, especially when we had like 4 videos by that point. So it just, yeah, it just took a lot of time. But then we got pretty fortunate with, I think like because we were promoting in so many places, like we connected with a lot of people. Um, so I connected with in October this
Mm.
channel called Channel or Chinese Cooking Demystified, which is one of the biggest Chinese food YouTube channels out there.
Wow.
And they just liked our stuff. And then they like, I think by the time we connected with them, we had like 2,500 subscribers.
Mhm.
Um, this was like mid to late October. And then like I chatted with Chris and Steph, who are super nice people. And like I didn't think anything of it, but I was just like, oh, this is so cool. Like I'm talking to these huge YouTubers that, and they like our stuff. So then I woke up the next morning and then I like my eyes like I just like, couldn't speak because we went from like 2,500 to 3,500 like within the span of like 8 hours. So I woke up and I was like, where is this coming from? And then they had posted about us in like a community post.
Oh,
Like,
wow. Not even a shout out, not even a collaboration in the video. It was them posting in their group somewhere, maybe Facebook group or something like that.
yeah, just on YouTube. So like their YouTube, like you can do like written posts.
Oh,
Um,
community posts. Okay.
yeah. Um,
Gotcha.
yeah. And they had written this long thing, and then we were one of the 3 channels they recommended, and like instantly, like that week, we got to like 7,500
Yeah.
subscribers, which was
Wow. Look
insane.
at that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
Uh,
I think there's a key takeaway there. And by the way, guys, if you have questions, I realize there are a couple of questions that came in. Definitely send it along. I think there's something not quite working with my live streaming service because I don't see us live on LinkedIn, but I'll be sure to post this video once again when we're done. The easiest way is to actually find this conversation on YouTube, by the way, under Feisworld Media. My name is in the window wherever you're watching me. And because this is a live video, there's a chat window where you can drop your questions there. I just want to give that a shout out. Um, so with that said, there's one key takeaway, guys. Is like sometimes there's that one thing you do, but it cannot be the only thing. It's one of many,
Yeah.
many things, time and effort you spend, things that you just send into the ether, you're never gonna hear back or
Yeah.
get back, right? But there's one thing, one creator, someone decided to talk about you, and that person could be the company, which is YouTube, to make your video into a recommended video, suggested video. That's how I saw tremendous views towards all my top videos. YouTube decided it's a good video, it put it in front of people, all of a sudden it's over 200,000 views. So there's
Yeah.
nothing, no group I can promote this video to reach 200,000 people. But in Randy's case, a really, really big YouTube creator slash channel announced, basically just mentioned you. And
Yeah.
that is incredible. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's just like I think I was very nervous at first about like publishing in a lot of these groups because there's so much good content out there that I'm like, does mine hold up to this? Like I
Mm.
compare myself a lot and it's not healthy, but um I just can't help it sometimes. But yeah, I think it just as a result of that, um we got that shout out. We in December we blew past 10,000 subscribers because
Mm.
by that point we were like organically gaining more and more
Yeah.
subscribers and more views. I think we crossed the monetization threshold for watch hours in actually on my birthday, so November 15th.
Wow.
So
When was that? October,
November
November?
15th. Yeah.
Oh,
So
wow.
2.5 months in, which I was like just mind blown. I thought it would take a very, very
Mm.
long time to get those watch hours. But
Oh, man. This is so
yeah.
exciting. So I'm gonna respect people who are watching right now. I'm gonna get to their question. First of all, thank you, Min Lu for submitting your question, and then I'm gonna get to Jay. Uh, I'm not gonna mispronounce your name. I'm gonna get to Jay's questions next. So first, Min asked, what tactics can you share about tastefully promoting your content on Facebook groups and communities without coming off as self-promoting? I have so much to say about this, but please, Randy, go ahead.
Oh yeah.
Great question.
Um, yeah, I think you just have to, it really depends on the group. Like, and for Facebook specifically, like I think if you're in Asian food, there's two really, really active groups, Subtle Asian Cooking and Subtle Asian Eats. Um, and then from there, it's just like you have to have good photography or videography. Like it has to catch the eye. And then I think from there, there's certain things that I've been testing out, like what exactly do you include in your post? Usually it's like just the whole recipe. You have to include the whole recipe in those groups anyway, but like I think
Mhm.
I think everything you post should be a complete nugget of information. Like I don't usually
Mhm.
post teasers because that person, if they like your stuff, they're gonna watch it anyway. So like I try to avoid posting teasers like, oh, check out, like I do include links to my stuff, but like they can just consume the whole thing there. Um,
Mm.
and then I'll
You're
post
not hiding
like,
information or
yeah. So
opt
like
in to learn more. Yeah.
right.
Okay.
I do include like highlights from our videos just to like indicate like, oh, there's interesting stuff here that you could learn.
Mm.
Sometimes I'll post the whole video in certain groups. But I think, yeah, so like I found that video galleries do pretty well. So like have a combination of multiple videos and photos in your posts. Um,
Mhm.
have like rich text formatting. So like don't just post in plain text. In Facebook groups, you can like use headers and lists and bolds, and um,
Mm-hmm.
that's really important. You want to make sure that like if someone's scanning it, they can easily read it. And then I think I try to include like my call to actions like towards the top, like check out
Mm-hmm.
this link to view more. Um, I found that one thing you should not do is post your link and
Mm-hmm.
let that be the block of media that Facebook previews you post with. Like
Right.
Facebook does not like native YouTube links. So it's better to
Mm-hmm.
use their native images and videos
Right.
because
Right.
people are more immersed by that. And then like you want to get the engagement first. So if you get enough engagement, then then people are going to click on that whatever video or blog post you're promoting. I think like
Yeah.
an important thing if you're starting out, I'm still starting out, but like YouTube's not creating the impressions for you. So you really have to create as many impressions as you can on your own. And it's all a numbers game.
Right.
So like if you get hundreds of thousands of impressions, you'll get like 5% of those people will click on your video. And then,
Yeah.
you
It's a
know,
numbers
like,
game for sure. And can I add to what you just said, Randy, in terms of
yes,
posting as well, that I think what Min is also maybe wondering, how do you not get slammed by the moderator of the group and to say that you're too self-promotional? There are a couple of things I realize we could do, which is, especially when we post in groups that we don't own, like we didn't start, that it's important to offer as much value as possible. I noticed that you can engage within comments. So instead of saying, new videos out, it's a great video, you should definitely check it out. Maybe try to engage with people at the comments level, trying to help them solve certain things. Filmmakers or content creators tend to have
yeah,
a lot of questions, like the question you just asked. So engage with them that way so they get to know you as a creator. Another way I notice, if you want to create or post your own original content, i.e., your video, you can actually ask a question as well, especially if you're a
yeah,
creator who are not sure about whether this piece of content is good or no good. I mean, you got to be a little careful when you ask that question because people want to know the type of feedback you're asking for. Is it the general content? Is it the flow of the content? Is it the thumbnail? Is it the
yeah,
lighting? So you don't want people to bombard you with the feedback you're not exactly seeking for. Whenever you ask a question, you got to kind of adjust yourself mentally, right? You put yourself in a certain
yeah,
situation, you may get all kinds of feedback. But whenever you do ask for feedback, ask questions and ask people to be of contribution, the engagement goes up. Also in general, I'm not sure if you saw this, Randy. Whenever you ask a question, I notice that you do sometimes. You
yeah,
ask a question before your long post, like, "Hey, what do you guys think of this title? What do you think I should produce next?" And people are really kind of jumping in, trying to help you, and that's how your engagement goes up as well.
yeah, yeah, absolutely. I think those are really great points. I think also like, if there's a particular community that you really enjoy being a part of, I think like just engaging as an authentic community member helps too. And I've met a lot of creators like you and other food bloggers and YouTubers. And now it's just like we support each other in those
Mm-hmm.
groups. It's like, oh, I see a post from them. Or just like, yeah, you're just connecting as a human. Like, I like seeing what you're posting and supporting you. And um
Yeah.
yeah,
You're
I
like this
think it's
in
like,
life, right? Asking each other
yeah,
questions, kind of learning from
yeah,
each other live and sharing the lessons that we've learned. Because I don't think it matters if you have 3 subscribers, you have 3 million subscribers. There's
right.
so many lessons you learn along the way. And for us to talk about this openly, right? We just talked about CPM right before the start of this recording, and we can be completely honest with each other. There is no such thing, in my opinion, that, oh, I'm so ahead of you, I make more money, therefore that makes me more
Yeah.
successful.
Yeah.
Nothing like that in the creators world, really.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like it's very supportive. Like I remember thinking like when we started, like oh man, these guys are like creating a recipe that I've done. Like I have to crush the competition, but like I've actually met some of them, like Chinese Cooking Mystified. And they're super nice. I think everyone's just generally really friendly. I haven't met anyone that would prove otherwise, but I think everyone's like like willing to be a friend, if you connect in the right way.
Very true. Very true. And so I have a second question from Jay. Would you ever cross over into other mediums? What
Hmm.
are your thoughts? I guess. Oh, we can interpret this question in many different ways.
Yeah.
All right. As I was thinking, like the beginning before I read it fully, I was thinking, will you kind of cross over to other genre or types of videos, from cooking shows into vlogs or whatever. And then now I'm reading it, I was thinking, oh, I actually could mean other things, like actual mediums, like into could be different platforms like TikTok, like something else. So what's your take, your choice of which answer, which question you want to
Yes.
address?
Yes to all of it. Yeah, I think there's a lot to explore. Like for sure, one thing we want to do is just to have like a beautiful, like
Mm,
beautiful typography, photography in a book. It would just be like a
mm,
nice family heirloom. And then uh yeah, that's definitely on like the horizon. I think um we've experimented with like short form stuff like TikTok, and by experiment we've done like one video, but um,
mhm.
it didn't do that well. But I think it's definitely something there. I think like I've just it's just another authentic platform or
So
way to
true.
digest media. It's just hard for us because our videos are usually like 15 to 20 minutes long. So how do I? It's just a game of subtraction in order to like get a TikTok video out that's like 30 to 60 seconds.
So I was wondering about that, right? Like onto TikTok. For those of you who are watching, in case you're interested, there are like two authentic platforms left: LinkedIn and TikTok. And LinkedIn has just changed the algorithm on videos. I don't know what's going on there. If you do know, please leave me a comment. But TikTok is the only platform left where it sends your content, your video to 150 people always. And based on their engagement, it decides whether it opens up the funnel or close it down. It also has a lot to do with where you're posting. I'm learning this from my producer Herman, which is if you have a piece of content really tailored to San Francisco or the United States, and you have your VA posting in Sweden or Argentina, it's going to hurt your content unless we're
Oh,
experimenting with
interesting.
VAs, yeah, using
Yeah.
VPNs. VAs using VPNs because it's very common for content creators to work with people overseas and you're from a different
Yeah.
location. I just never realized that that has something to do with where you're posting.
Interesting.
Yeah. So with that said, Rainey, I was thinking like a couple of formats that can work so well with food blogging and videos are, what, can you condense the videos down to 60 seconds, the beginning, middle, and end, where you kind of reveals the quick flow or like touch points of the videos and to
Yeah.
show people something like that.
Yeah. I think it's definitely something we want to do. It's just like I think right now I'm just like, how do I do anything other than publish one video and a blog? Because I'm like,
So exhausting.
yeah, because it's like it's a lot of work. It's like I do want to do it. It's just like
Hmm.
there's a lot of things I want to do as well outside of
Hmm.
that. So it's just like kind of picking and choosing what we focus on. So yeah, but I think there's so much potential there, and I think I think our content would do pretty well there. I just need to find time to do it,
Yeah,
essentially.
and a big shout out to your wife. Some people may not know this, but Kat, right? Who's
Yeah,
very supportive of your work. She does Instagram, I believe that's what you said.
yeah,
It's a beautiful Instagram account. Instagram, any of these platforms could easily turn into a full-time job. I've been there,
yeah,
done that, and I agree with you. So right now, for example, for my channel, the frequency is about twice a week. I try very, very hard to stick to a schedule, meaning the same time, same day of the week. Honestly, I sometimes I really fall off that schedule because a lot of what I do, I feel like it's so time sensitive. Maybe it's not all that sensitive; it's like self-implied. But it just feels like when new piece of software come out, when a new feature comes out, I want to be the first one to talk
yeah,
about it because as you know, Randy, like the YouTube channels, like everybody's on the new thing. So I have my new thing content and I have a lot of the evergreen content.
yeah,
So it's a tough call sometimes.
yeah.
I mean, how do you? I feel like your content is so evergreen. It's like the
Yeah.
dishes doesn't matter. Sure, there's some winter dishes, but like those dishes to me, very close to my heart. I feel like I make any of them any day of the week, any day of the year.
Yeah. Yeah. That's kind of like, that was kind of my take on it. Like, I mean, I think a lot of food is evergreen by nature, but like, there are some like trendy foods and like, for sure, like TikTok trends on food.
Right.
Um, but I
Some
think,
trendy food. It's so
um,
true. There are definitely trendy foods.
yeah. So I think like a long time ago, I read, like 4 Hour Work Week by Tim Ferriss. And that
Mm,
like, I just, I for the longest time, I wanted to like have some aspect of that in my life. And
mm,
we did with like one of our previous businesses. But I think what's cool about YouTube is like if you create evergreen content on a blog or on YouTube and you get it to rank, it's like that video will continue to produce income for you forever. Um,
yeah,
yeah. So I think that's what's on the business side, that's what's exciting about like what we're building is because like, you know, this not only will this continue to like be educational for generations to come, but like it'll also help provide income for our family for generations to come. So
for
that's
sure.
yeah.
Speaking of income, one area I think that's how you found me is I think a couple of months ago I started sharing analytics from my YouTube channel. I openly talked about how much I made in 2020, how to
Yeah.
understand the most popular video and all that. So I'm very into that topic. What are some of the things you guys are thinking about in relations to Made with Lau? What are some of the more passive incomes you're witnessing? And also now you have sponsor content. We're not going to talk about sponsor revenue or even mention names or anything like that. But give us an kind of a crash course on what you've learned in the past couple of months.
Ooh, it's all very new to me.
Hmm.
We've been monetized for like 2 months now. Um, it was actually so our income streams are our YouTube ad revenue, which is our biggest one, and then we have um, our Amazon affiliates, which is tied with our blog revenue. So
Hmm.
blog, we just turned Google AdSense on, and then yeah, so those are the three income sources right now, and then we're like starting to engage with sponsors,
Hmm.
which um, which we're excited about. But I think yeah, from that perspective, it's actually I don't know. I think it's just like it's just interesting to see, you know, like what videos generate what sort of income and like just seeing ad rates fluctuate. And it's definitely like it's definitely not always linear. Like you think that one video will do well or you think that your income will grow. I mean, I have such a limited time frame of income to look at, but I even watching your income report, like your income fluctuated over the year. Um,
Yeah, yeah.
so it's just, I think it's just like for me, I think it's just the biggest game I have mentally with myself is like just being okay with ebbs and flows and not expecting everything to be like a
Right.
linear increase every single week or
Yeah.
month. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's such a good observation. YouTube revenue streams do, especially YouTube ads fluctuate all the time. And there's so many elements, CPMs related to how much you get paid per thousand views. But a lot of that also has to do with, watch time, how long people stay on your channel, and how much advertisers are willing to pay. And so, for example, I saw a dip in a number of views during between Christmas and New Year. So there were half as many views on my
Hmm.
videos. But the CPM more or less stayed. So the revenue kind of decreased. I have thought, oh, my channel is over. And as soon as like January 4th or the 6th hit, we went back up again. So that was really, really encouraging. But I want to go back to one of the things you said, Randy, in regards to working with sponsors. You said approaching sponsors. So do you mean you are actively approaching sponsors versus sponsors reaching out to you directly because now you're making a name here on YouTube, or both? Tell us more about that.
Yeah. So I wish I had more, and maybe in a future conversation we'll have more to share about this. But like, I think so far my efforts in that regard are not successful in a financial standpoint, at least. But like, um, and I think so. We had opportunities to work with two brands that are fairly well known, and I I like really value my time and my worth, and I think I negotiated a little too high. So basically, they said, um,
Mhm.
"We'll work with you later." Basically, um, so yeah. So one brand reached out to us like last week actually, and I was super excited to work with them.
Mhm.
Um, and like I don't really have any awareness as to like what industry rates are, but I think um, I was like, this is what I think our video is worth, and they're like, well, we can't pay that, and they're like, well, what about this? And they're like, well, this is our budget, and I was like, all right,
That
I'll
helps
do it.
still.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
But then by the time I said, all right, I'll do it, like they had already picked their cast for the campaign. So, um, yeah. So that was kind of a bummer. But I think like, that I'm proud of negotiating and like not taking pennies for something that's worth a lot more than that. Um,
Right.
but it is like, it was kind of a bummer. It was like, dang, could have had
It's a
that.
bit of a lottery, right? It's
Yeah.
a bit of a lottery for people who just started monetizing. And I think it's a very encouraging conversation because now they're learning that they too might be approached by sponsors. So, a couple of ways to go about it, if I can share kind of what I have learned. If I'm using a ton of software for my business, and I use a set of specific types of software for YouTube for live streaming. So especially if I find how much I love the software, that is an incentive for me to proactively reach out to the brand. And what I mean by that
Yeah.
is I'll go to their website and I get in touch with maybe the right person. I try very hard not to send a info at xyz.com.
Yeah.
Nobody's reading those, inboxes or whatever. So I try to get into a real person. I try to find what's called an influencer program. So no matter how small you are as a YouTuber, you are now an influencer, whether you like it or not. That word is so overused. So, also, alternatively, Twitter is a really good place. Twitter, as well as Facebook page and groups, are closely monitored, especially by some of the bigger brands. They will help you route your message to the right department. So that's one way. I try to be proactive. I want to be even more proactive. So what I do, maybe I just get my numbers and my weekly to dos out there is I try to set 30 minutes every week and I say I contact 5 sponsors that I really like. And if that week I don't feel inspired and I don't want to just work with sponsors, I don't email anybody, because the last thing I want to do is email some sort of lighting company and I have no interest in using their lights.
Yeah.
So you got to be a little careful. But these days, I'm very lucky to have been approached by brands where I can evaluate and say, wow, this is really good. When they approach you, a lot of the times, as of right now, I've had my channel for a little while, they have a good understanding of who I am and what I do. So most of those are really high quality leads for me. I've never received something like, oh, we're coming from this plumber company because you're a plumber YouTube channel, because we're not. And go from there. I also ask about their budget. And I'm not sure how you feel about this, Randy. There seems to be a way they're using some sort of software where they have some experience to understand based on your subscriber count, your
Yeah.
watch time. The data is public, guys. Go to socialblade.com. Social Blades or Blade? I forgot. You
Blade, I
get
think.
Blade, right? Singular, I
Yeah.
think. And then they get all the watch time. They know how many people subscribe, how often they subscribe each month. So they guess the numbers all quite closely to how much they should be paying you. And when in doubt, sometimes there are a couple of times I said, okay, I think I should charge X. And then instead I said, let me just be quiet and see what they say. And sometimes they come back with twice the amount of money. So you got to
Yeah.
be, the more people you talk to, the better off you will be. So those are my
That is
findings.
great advice. So you reach out to 5 sponsors a week or like most weeks or
I think I'm more like 5 sponsors a month, to be honest. I should do it more frequently. That even though that was a goal, I feel like sometimes we set goals for ourselves
for
because out of
sure.
every right 10, 20 sponsors, you might never hear back from anybody, right? And you wait. But for me, I set the goal without realizing that maybe I don't want to work with that many people. When you get a sponsor, that sponsor is sponsoring a single video. A video is a lot of work. So if I get too
Yeah.
many sponsors, I essentially have no place to put them right now. I
Yeah.
currently work with right. I currently work with 3 sponsors, but one of them is on a retainer, so they buy more than one video a month. And there are also previous sponsors who are I'm no longer working with. So speaking of ebb and
Yeah.
flow,
Yeah.
with the revenue as well as with the number of sponsors.
Yeah. I think for like I think for me, I'm just starting to think about reaching out to sponsors. So this is really great advice. But also it's like for my channel, I feel like my dad, he's very steeped in the ways that he has done things. So I try to be I feel like it's like a fine line because like
Yeah,
if I'm having him use a brand that he would not use otherwise, it's like
right.
how do I address that? So I kind of I don't know. It's like it's just like this fine line of like defending your brand and
Hmm.
not selling out. But like I don't even know. I don't know. Maybe it's an insecurity. Like will your audience call you out for that? Or I mean, I haven't.
Hmm.
We don't have a sponsored product yet, so I don't know what the reaction is. But um, yeah, I think it's just something I think about as we navigate this new era of like being approached by sponsors and approaching others.
Yeah, I mean, you're also working with your dad and essentially working with your family. There are a lot of members
Yeah.
involved. I know behind the scenes, on and off screen, but it's more complex when you work with a partner. And sometimes people argue that it's more complex when you work with a family member on top of that.
Yeah.
And in your case, your dad, not your
Yeah.
son, not somebody at the same level or next generation to you. So you definitely have to respect their opinion, especially your dad is like the star of
Yeah.
your channel. So I don't know. I want to like throw random advice out there, but I almost feel like for you, there's a bigger array of brands you could potentially go back to by looking at the packages of whatever,
Oh yeah, for
like
sure. Yeah.
noodle soup, like broth, all these things. And whereas for me, like there's a challenge, there's a kind of a not rivalry, but there are also things that I'm using for X that I can't really use another brand for. I almost it's
Yeah.
not really, like it would be of competition. So something like that I got to be careful with. But I don't. There's
Yeah.
so many ingredients in cooking.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
It's funny.
I've been eyeing a few ingredient brands that like we could potentially do sponsorships with, and like that could literally be like every week because we use some of those ingredients like every single time we
Mhm.
cook. So
Mm.
um
One thing I love about is your media kit, which I will include. I ran out of character counts talking about your story and then everything. I have to go back. You guys have to come back wherever you're watching those. I add to Twitter, Facebook, YouTube descriptions. But Randy or Made With Lau has like the most fantastic media kit I've ever seen. Made me so embarrassed by my one page Feisworld.com/sponsorship. I just got screenshots literally from YouTube. That's it. But Randy's media kit is top notch. It's like a Nike's media kit where well, it's you want to talk about that. You actually want to take a look at the example because the graphics are gorgeous, but also the numbers really matter. And not only Made With Lau's number, but like industry average on the right hand side. You want to show them the numbers so the sponsors will pick it up to say, "Wow, look at this media kit. I know the type of quality video I'm gonna get just by looking at the media kit." Like imagine how unbelievable the videos are themselves going to be. So good job there, really.
Thank you. Yeah.
Very impressive.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. I feel like I just wanted to like, I think I made it for like one of our pitches to a brand, and I just wanted to like wow them so much. I don't know that it did, um, but I'm proud of how it looks at least. But yeah, I
Yeah.
just wanted a way to capture like, you know, we are a new channel and we are new, like we don't have like the numbers yet of some mega influencers, but like we are growing
Hmm.
extremely fast. So that was kind of the main goal I wanted to impress upon the sponsors
Hmm.
I was engaging with, is just like we are small but very mighty. Like we're
Yeah, small but
like
mighty, for
like
sure.
within like half a year's time, we're gonna be much bigger than we are now. So work with us now, kind of thing.
Yeah, it is much cheaper to work with us now. Exactly, because now if they work with, that's something I didn't even think about. If they work with you now, the videos, let's just say permanent or semi-permanent, whatever, right? If
Yeah.
it's there on YouTube, it is going to continue to accumulate views and traction. And so imagine if they pay you X amount of dollars now, the video, let's hope fingers crossed, will be popular a year from now. But a year from now, you won't be charging the same amount. You'll be charging
Right.
10
Yeah.
times the amount of what you
Yeah.
do now. The game
Yeah.
changes rapidly.
Yeah. It really is exponential. Like start once you start like digging into like having YouTube help recommend you, and like
Mm,
it just snowballs. And I think it like
mm,
that's what's exciting about it. So I just wanted to like capture that in our media kits. Like, we are snowballing really quickly.
mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know if it's like too many metrics and overwhelming in that sense, but like I just wanted to also just for me to like look back and be like, wow, we're doing this. You know, it's like a
Yeah,
celebration every time I make it or update it.
that's such a great idea that if you guys are creating on YouTube and you haven't taken any screenshots of where you are right now, whatever because YouTube comes with a lot of built-in analytics, take screenshots. And those are really interesting, even though YouTube does show you the historical stuff, but there's something about the now portion of it.
Yeah.
Like you don't get back, all right? Just
Yeah.
that view.
Yeah. Actually, it's kind of funny. Like my mom, she does a lot behind the scenes, and she like kind of glues, like my dad's kind of impatient sometimes, so she kind of reins him in. But um
Yeah.
initially, I don't know if she still does this, but like at least for the first month or two, like every time I saw her, she'd like know what our subscriber count was at. And she would like write it down every morning, even though she had access to the analytics app. She just wrote it down. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. My mom
so
does the
it's just
same thing. My mom knows my current subscriber count. I don't. Go,
that's
mom.
that's hilarious. That's yeah. I mean, they're really invested. That's great. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, but I think she had that intuition too. It's just like like you want to remember these things and celebrate where you're at.
Intuition, and the women, turns out the women in the family actually run the channel. So until
Yeah,
when you have when you Randy, if you have a daughter one day, and I'm sure she will be joining the force, then be like a
yeah. I hope
star of
so.
the
That would
channel.
be so cool. Yeah.
Yeah. I know that if you have a few extra minutes, I realize I haven't really gone into the culture part, but I have to say, uh, I want you to, do you have a hard stop at 4 o'clock?
No, 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 no. Yeah, no.
Oh, okay. Just a few more minutes because I have to say that when I watch your parents shop at Costco's or something and they go shopping together, they talk about how to pick out the better fish it was just so touching. I've been in this country for 20 years, and those are the moments where I only see if I go to Chinatown, if I go back to China, but I don't know how to describe it, man. It's just so sweet. And then to watch them so in sync. They're in such a loving, loving relationship after so many years, I'm sure, raising you guys. I was so touched that because I thought, I was like, man, my parents really weren't like that. Like fighting. They never went grocery shopping together because they would be fighting. But your parents just like so cute, so perfect for each
Yeah.
other. They really
I
are.
mean, my dad is like, he's like I said, he's kind of like, he kind of has a temper and he's impatient, but he like, they love each other. So it's
Yeah.
just like, yeah, I think like part of what I want to capture in our videos is like just those idiosyncrasies of my parents' relationship and how they interact with each other, with us, with our their grandson. I actually read I don't remember who was saying it. I think it was like some ABC writer giving advice on how to document someone's life. And she was basically, I can't, I'm like blanking on the name, but she was a very famous anchor. Um,
That's okay. Yeah.
but basically, she was like, you should try to capture all the idiosyncrasies and like to, if you, I didn't know what that word meant until very recently, but it basically means like, um, just all the quirks that make someone unique. And
Hmm.
so I really like those moments that I capture on camera are like gold because I think it just it just defines who my parents are on like a very human level, and it just capturing those interactions is like I think as important as the
Yeah.
recipe or their cultural traditions because it's just like that's who they are. And like to see that like play out on video is like, oh, you kind of get to know who they are. um,
Mm.
so I think that's like part of what drives our engagement, is because of moments like that, it's like you get to sit down with us and eat with them, and um, you get to see them being like bickering at each other or like being annoying for a store clerk or like um, yeah. So I think like that level of personality and idiosyncrasy helps like connect viewers
Mm.
with what we're sharing, and
Yeah.
like the people like us, essentially the family behind the YouTube channel.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for this is great editing advice and observation wise, but also when you're sitting in front of Final Cut Pro, whatever you use for editing, and that definitely don't underestimate the personality and the flaws or the imperfections that are
Yeah.
part of your videos. And I still remember this young woman, she must have been 16, 17 years old, talking about YouTube growth. And, she was tired. She's like, oh, I'm really tired. I'm wearing my pajamas, but it's time to record a video. I was like, oh, I can relate. Because most of the time, I definitely don't look the way I wanted to look before I have to turn on the camera. And halfway through her talking, her phone was clearly leaning on a book and just go like literally just plopped in front of her. And you see the ceiling, and then you see like she was in like this little girl or whatever, and it's all the cosmic whatever like stars in her
Yeah,
ceiling. And she
yeah.
was so embarrassed. She's like, put it, and she didn't take that part out. And that still to this day is like what I thought was so real about that video,
Yeah.
about growth, about and then all the imperfections, and those actually makes your video really stand out. Um, but I think the fact also that your dad speaks Cantonese, and you didn't make them speak English necessarily, so they're in their comfort zone. They're cutting,
Yeah.
slicing, and they're just talking to the camera. Was that intentional for them to stick to the Chinese language?
Yeah, actually that was like it took me a long time to kind of wrap my head around like what languages we were going to present in. So like the first
Mm.
few videos, I actually had me and my mom up there with my dad talking, and it was just like I thought it would be helpful to have my mom explain in English and then my dad explain in Chinese. Um,
Ah.
so I was like, okay, that'll work. But then when I was editing it and during the whole filming, it was like it just didn't flow. And my dad had to like wait for my mom to like move on to things. And like you can't wait that long because you're gonna overcook something.
All
Um,
right.
so yeah, so we very quickly scrapped that. But I think like yeah,
Uh,
so I think just like kind of discovering it in the process of editing it, where it's like, all right, we should
right.
just do Cantonese, um, and which entails like a lot of hours of subtitling. But I think
Right.
it's um, I think it's worth it because I think
Mm,
it's I think there's an element of like cultural preservation that I want to
mm,
celebrate because I think Cantonese in some places is a dying language. Um,
mm,
so as much as we can, I want to learn more Cantonese because mine like I would equate it to like a kindergartner's level of Cantonese. So
not really. I should learn too. I'm half Cantonese and I don't speak any. So
yeah, it's hard. It's yeah.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think like for me, it's just like learning Cantonese, and then I think just I thought a lot about the languages and how we present them. Like
Mm,
I could just have English subtitles, but then I feel like my dad wouldn't understand what I'm saying,
mm,
and
mm,
like I think that's a missed opportunity to kind of like preserve that language if we don't have Chinese subtitles. Um,
mm,
yeah. So yeah, I think a lot of like the creative decisions are driven by like my family because like it takes me a long time to generate Chinese subtitles, but like if I don't, then my dad won't understand what we're saying in English, which is really important to me because we've had a language barrier our whole
yeah.
lives, you know? So I think this is like, yeah, it's just like I just want this to be accessible for him, for everyone, and just to like have a resource of many layers for many years to come.
Mm. Yeah, I mean, it just occurred to me one more thing, which is, your whole family, even including your mom, looking at the subscriber count. Now, I can just imagine your mom right now, like as we're talking, probably like refreshing F5 and like going to YouTube and uh, to check things out. Did how long did it take, or did you have to convince both of your parents, who are clearly from a different generation, about your endeavor, this family endeavor on YouTube? Or did you ever get any eyebrows to be like, "What?" you know?
Um, that's funny. Yeah. So they've been trying to convince me to like get a job at like a cushy tech firm, for a long time. And I think they gave up years ago. They still say it like, oh, you should go work at Google and get health insurance. Um, which some days that sounds pretty nice, like working at but I think when I approached them to do this YouTube channel, like they were on board pretty quickly. Like I think
Hmm.
um I kind of explained to my mom like, what numbers really big channels are pulling. And I was like, this is going to take years, but I think we can get there.
Multi six figures for those of you guys who are
Yes.
watching.
Yeah. Like even like blogs, just blogs, no YouTube. Like the top tier of blogs, they pull in like 6 figures of ad revenue every month, just
Yeah.
passively.
And those
Um,
are harder. I don't know. Maybe we could get into a debate for like another hour, but I think YouTube's so much easier than blogging
I
because
think so
there's
too.
so many more blogs out there.
Yeah. SEO is a
Sorry.
lot harder on blog. Anyway, that's a whole rabbit
Yeah.
hole. But yeah, so I think like from a financial standpoint, which my parents obviously care about because it affects our well-being, but I think they were on board pretty quickly. And my dad, he didn't really say much when I was like talking to him, but like 2 days later, he was like, "All right, I defrosted some pork. Let's go film." So I was like, "Dad, I'm not ready. Like, I haven't planned anything out. Like, this is it's not something I could
It's
just
so
do."
Asian parents. My mom would do the same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. So, and then like my wife Kat was like, "Oh, we should just like, we could do it for fun, or
Yeah.
we could just try it." And then immediately my mom, she's like just dives head in. She's like, "Oh, and then we got to get like one of those portable burners so we can use our kitchen island to be better camera angle." Um, yeah, she was just yeah, she's very entrepreneurial.
Yeah.
So it was I have their support, which is really nice, and I literally could not do without them. So I'm just grateful that they're as supportive as they are.
I think I just found my title, new title for this episode should be I just defrosted some pork. Let's go.
Yeah.
That's the way to go because you're gonna. I just, my mom cooks all. My mom lives with me. She cooks all day. I wake up like my mom's like, "Are you awake?" I'm like, "Yes." It's first thing in the morning, and then within 5 seconds, like, "Breakfast is ready. Come down." I'm like, running like literally, have to run downstairs. But I notice I try to. There's some things that she cooks make me feel like it's part of my culture. And I want to preserve this moment, my moment with her. And every
Yeah.
time I do Instagram story, but except for she's not exactly like your dad. And whenever I try to do Instagram story, I notice something she's doing, chopping and all that. I said,
Yeah.
"Mom, just be normal. Don't rush yourself. Don't cut any fingers off." And now is Instagram story, and I can just see she's so disoriented. She's like, and then you do. I'm like, why is she changing? What's she doing
Yeah.
differently? And she just like, and then food like flying everywhere. But your dad's like very, very professional. Like, he's
Yeah.
composure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's like, I think he's super confident about like literally everything he does. I think he's he has no stage fright. Like the day one of our first shoot, he just went. We didn't have to do a second take because I think
Oh,
he's like this is like what he knows. Like he could do this in his sleep. He literally handed
yeah.
me a restaurant menu, his old restaurant menu with like over 200 things on it, and he's like, I can make all of these. So that's like
Oh,
content. That's like content for like 8 years probably if we
yeah.
wouldn't do the same thing. And
Right.
and then my mom
Yeah.
actually like I didn't prompt her. Like I thought it'd be cute for her to do like all the outros. So most of our videos, she does the outros, like asking people. Anyway, so
So
I didn't
cute.
prompt her, and then she was like, "Make sure you subscribe and like our video." It's like, what the heck? I guess she
She
watches
knows.
enough YouTube to know, like she knows what a call to action is, which is crazy. Yeah.
Oh man, this is so good. This is why we're laughing because this is why people are watching your channel. They're thinking about all the things they're not seeing, and it's behind the scenes conversations. And these are forget about the YouTube channel. These are the moments that you as a family will forever cherish for,
Yeah,
100
totally.
years from now.
Yeah. I
So,
think I think that's like for me, like this is like the best thing that's happened to my career, even though it wasn't like even though it's not like the big startup that I've always been coveting. Um, I've never found something that fulfills me on a personal level. Like if you take away monetization, you take away like the growth, I think like just having these moments for our family is super important. And I think people are resonating that with being able to see Cantonese being preserved on camera. Um,
yeah.
but also too, it's like I have experience. Like I think it's just such a great inflection point for me because I have all that personal fulfillment, and I
Yeah.
can see the stars aligning where this becomes like a much bigger channel or a much bigger blog. So it's just like I've never been more motivated because I think it's just so aligned with what I want to do, and I think I can see I can see the success that I've always been, after. So it's just
And
a
the
matter of time, I think.
success. Right. It touches my heart so much to when I hear that because, and for those of you guys who are watching, I mean, the beginning can be really hard. Maybe Randy's success seems really easy on YouTube, but there's so much work that he
Yeah.
put in before you even saw the first episode or first video. And for me to hear that not only you see the success, I think it only gets sweeter from here. And I really hope you and your family continue and persevere through the hardships, if any, comes your way. Because not only you get to see the success that could be monetary, great, that you can reinvest into hiring people, camera equipment, but you are with your family, the people you treasure the most. You get to spend time with your parents. Otherwise, you
Yeah.
probably wouldn't. If you work at a startup, forget about startup. Startup, you'll never get to see any of your family.
Yeah.
But at Google, then you're not there. You're doing all this with your family. I'm doing a lot of work with my mom right now, and she's so incredibly talented artist who painted all these paintings behind me,
Whoa.
and
What?
all around. Yeah, these
That's
are
awesome.
huge portraits, like 70 inches long. And
Wow.
yeah, she's the Forbidden City artist who retired and decided to. She moved in with me, and she's creating all of these things. She's a
That's
Guanyin, like
insane.
yeah, Buddha artist.
That's
It's
so
all
good.
yeah, yeah, pure silk. That's my producer Herman. That's our family's good friend Jorge, who's like helping
Wow.
me. And there's so many more.
That's
And
epic.
there's so many more. Exactly. We get to work with our parents, and this is part of our heritage and their story to be carried on. And man, this is so cool. This is so good. We gotta do this again because they're gonna be
Yeah.
because Made with Lau is going to surpass 50,000, 100,000 subscribers, I think, by June this year. So sponsor their videos now if you're watching this, your brand. Seriously, because I better, yeah, I better reserve. Uh, oh my God, there's another question that just came in. Yeah, reserve this for our own legacy. It's
Yeah.
so cool. I know what you mean by like that. I go to sleep happy. I wake up literally thinking about my YouTube channel.
Yeah.
Nobody can replace that. It's not money, you know? It's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. I think it's like, for me, it's like just having a creative focus that I can see impacting people. I think that's like my payment more
Mm-hmm.
than more than the money. And I think, I mean, very excited about the money for sure, but like, but
Yeah.
um, I think, you know, at the end of the day, it's just like the fulfillment, you know, you get to create, you get to be artistic, you get to document something that's important, and share it with people that seem to be resonating with it. So
Yeah.
it's just
You
really
make all the
great.
creative decisions.
Yeah.
Yeah, you make all the decisions as opposed to working in advertising marketing. A piece of, thumbnail art will get 1,200 revisions and never see the light of day. And now,
Yeah.
whatever you put out there, people are following you. They're not following New York Times or whatever, right? They're following,
Yeah.
literally following your channel and your parents. So I think we're gonna try to conclude this interview. There's one more question that came in. I'll ask you, Randy, what is something that you did that had a huge and positive impact in your life? What and with that?
Like
YouTube.
all of my life or YouTube?
Uh, yeah, anything that comes to mind in
Oh my
any
God.
point of your life doesn't have to be the most impactful.
Oh, how do I pick one? Okay, two things that come to mind. They happened within like a year of each other.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I read the book Seven Habits of Highly Effective People, which
Mm-hmm.
in the short term had a very depressing impact on my life because I had just like freaked out about my life and like I didn't know what I wanted basically.
Mm-hmm.
The second chapter in that book is begin with end in mind, and then it has you like plan out all the things or write out all the things you see yourself being at the end of your life. So I did that, and then I did that exercise for like that year of college. I was in college a senior, and then I realized everything I wrote I didn't want for myself. So I like freaked out
Mm-hmm.
because I didn't know. Like I just felt like a cookie cutter. Like just I regurgitated all these things that I thought I should want. So then I took like almost a year to kind of reflect um, on very fundamental things like why is family important? Why are friends important? I just wanted my own answer for those things. So
Mm-hmm.
that time of reflection was um, very impactful. Okay, I guess I'll cheat and say three things. And then the second is kind of a softball, but when I met my wife, um, yeah, and that was like 10 years ago. We met on our car ride, and I had written down, I'm like very into like journaling and doing visionary, like writing out my visions for my life. So I just had, I had just ended a relationship. I was cheated on. And then I was kind of just like reflecting a lot on like, who do I want as a partner? I
Mm-hmm.
wrote down this list of things that had like 50 adjectives on it. And one of those things is like very idiosyncratic, like Like I want a girl I can take to the library. And fast forward like 9 months later, like my now wife, we were on a car ride as like a social activity, like going up from UCLA to San Francisco for the weekend. It was just us, and then we had this like amazing 5 hour conversation, like driving down the highway on a road trip. Essentially, we were talking about like
Aw.
everything,
Mhm.
and um, from like religion, architecture, money, relationships. Like we were already like very much attracted to each other at that point. But
Yeah.
in that car ride, she's like, "Oh my God, have you been to the Santa Monica Library?" And I was like,
Oh. I'm the
"That,
one.
yeah." Basically, that's what I thought. I was like, "She's the one." Um, yeah. Then we've been together ever since. And then
Oh,
um, the third one I think would be when we quit our jobs and backpacked for 5 months through Asia. That was in 2013. Um,
wow.
so that
You quit
just
your
kind
jobs
of
together. Both quit
yeah,
your jobs at the same time.
yeah, because she was in software design. I was working at like a mobile app agency.
Mhm.
I actually really liked my job at the time, but I always knew that like I really liked my team. I liked what I was working on, but I kind of knew that based on my period of reflection in my quarter
Mhm.
life crisis that I wanted to just start my own things and try my own stuff. Um, so when we quit, we traveled and had a lot of really interesting experiences, and we like meditated in silence for 10 days, and it was kind of like a spiritual trip. But on that trip, we kind of like launched our first businesses, and that funded a lot. Like what we did on that trip funded a lot of years of experimentation. So I think from a
Mhm.
career standpoint, that was probably the most impactful decision we made, is just like completely alter the course of our career and do our own thing.
Mm.
So yeah, you
Sometimes
probably
like a
only asked for one thing, but I gave you three. So sorry.
oh no, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. I'm so grateful that you mentioned Kat as well because our partners are always so important in the things that we do. I mean, she's doing a lot. Let's just be clear, doing all the behind the scene like Instagram is huge, on and off
Yeah.
camera. But even sometimes we're lucky we find a partner who is just being supportive of the idea of it, even if they don't have to do anything by hand.
Yeah.
That's
Cause
also
that's not something to take for granted, you know? It's like not every
you
partner
can't.
wants. Yeah.
Yeah, they might want something completely opposite of what you want, and
Yeah.
that can be really problematic. And you guys even get to start businesses together. That is huge, right? And that's
Yeah.
something not every couple could come close to imagining. So that is really lovely. I'm so thrilled for the journey you're on, and I subscribed long time ago. And well, how long ago could it be? But as soon as I discovered your post and all that, I subscribed, and I really look forward to sharing more of these conversations and just monitor and see where you're going to go next. And if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll do the same, and hopefully we'll, keep growing on YouTube and everywhere else.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm cheering you on as well. It's just great to be on this podcast and to be even considered to be on. So yeah, I'm just really
Oh,
humbled and grateful to share. And hopefully it was helpful and relatable in some way. And yeah, I'm sure we'll do many more of these as we are,
for sure.
as we keep
Yeah,
crushing
thank
our
you so much.
thresholds.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you so much, Randy, and thanks everyone for watching. I'm going to take us offline now, but these videos will stay as videos. They will not come off of the platforms you're watching right now.